Welcome back to Able Heads. I'm your host, Anika, and in this podcast, we talk about how creatives actually get things done. Today, I'm joined by Adam the Illustrator, a Toronto based artist whose work blends playful visuals with honest conversations about mental health, self doubt, and navigating the mess of the creative process. But beyond his illustrations, Adam has built a massive engaged audience online by staying vulnerable, colorful, and completely true to himself. We talk about how to grow as a creative on social media without selling out, and the systems that keep him sane, and how he turns feelings into visuals that connect deeply with thousands of people. If you've ever wondered how to be consistent, stay authentic, and still get brand deals, this episode's for you.
So Adam the Illustrator happened when I got laid off. I was literally putting together my portfolio and I was like, I need to pay for a domain. What am I calling it? And I was Ghostface Adam, which was like my DJ name and my gamer tag.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know, Adam the Illustrator hit. I think Tyler the Creator just dropped a new album and I was like, Adam the Illustrator. And I've stuck with it since.
Yeah.
And no, but it just started off as like, I was just like illustrating like cute little characters. And like during COVID, it was like little like how-to guys to stay busy during COVID. But I didn't show my face until maybe a year or two in.
Wow. Yeah.
Until
How
like,
did you?
until the real game came. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
like Reels and TikTok really started blasting off, I literally did not show my face until then. Maybe a photo here and there of like me with my friends, but nothing else.
No, that's actually kind of fascinating because I feel like with having an online presence as a creative, it's always that space where you're like, how do I show up online showing my face and
Mhm.
attach it to my work?
Yeah.
Or do I even show that online and how much do I even share? So,
Yeah.
what was kind of the first space when you realized that your work is resonating beyond the inner circle? Do you remember that?
Yeah, like I guess during COVID, I was doing these like funny how-to guides, a lot of like line work characters where it was like a blue outline on like a gray background. And those were resonating, but like they were really funny. And then like I was given like the first one I did was how to give yourself a bowl cut during the pandemic. And I gave it to myself. It was super fun.
Yeah.
But I think the moment it started to resonate with people was I did one called How to Make It in 2020. And I started off with like such a negative tone, like you're never gonna make it. 2020 sucks, ba 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 ba. And I was like, you know what? I need to change the tone of this. And I literally just like went from all the negative shit that I was gonna say to like switching it to like more of like a positive, uplifting message. And like that was it. It was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna like write little notes to myself to keep myself going through the pandemic. Like I was on EI, you know, I was like
Yeah.
collecting employment insurance, applying for jobs and just like doing these cute illustrations. So it was like a way to like keep myself creative and keep myself going. And it seemed to resonate with people and that kind of continued to propel me and
Yeah.
it is what it is today.
Nice. So I feel like that's more of an organic reach when it comes to social media then. But would you say that process has evolved over the years? It's more strategic now than organic, or is it a mix of both?
I would say a mix of both. Like I still like to illustrate fun stuff for myself just to keep my like illustration stuff going. Honestly, like 85% to 90% of my income last year was through content creation.
Wow.
It is very strategic as well of like, I know it does well online. I obviously have to put those out. Do they fulfill me the most? Not really, but they continue to grow like the community and a lot of people, learn a lot from the tutorials that I'm doing. So I'm like always willing to drop those. But yeah, it's, I'm trying to make content that's going to do well.
Yeah. So it's a mix of content strategy and also how do you post by feeling in the moment. So let's talk about content strategy. What are the steps? What is the process? What does it look like?
I don't even know if I really have a strategy, but I just like, I mean, I guess the first strategy is like try and post 2 to 3 times a week. I try and stay present on there. I try and, comment on my, I'm very interactive on there. Like I comment almost every message, especially on like, not necessarily on a DM because DMs are a little bit harder because they're like longer messages. And it's just like, I am quite busy, but when it's like a question on that video that I did, I am very active on that to like help people out. If they had an issue, I'll be like, DM me and we'll try and like solve it together. And then I'm just like, I'm trying to make stuff that makes me happy as well, right? Like the tutorial stuff it's great. It does well. And I do want to drop a course eventually. It's not the most fulfilling for myself, but like I understand that it helps people and I'm trying to still garner a community that is uplifting like new people, like whether you've been in the industry for 20 years or whether you just picked up Illustrator, I want to try and like touch all aspects of that. But then for myself, like, I still want to make cute characters and like build a world of characters and like have an art show. And I really think that this is the Gemini in me of like, I want to do like tutorial based stuff, which is fun
Yeah.
and like helps people. But I also like need to like feed my needs as well of like being an artist. I still feel like I'm an artist and an illustrator. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people know me more for the tutorials these days, but I still feel like an illustrator, and it's like a constant battle of like, what are you gonna drop?
Yeah.
Like how are you gonna drop it? And I don't
Yeah.
know. Just
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out every day, still to this day. Like who is Adam the illustrator and what does he do?
Yeah, no, I think the brand evolves every year and every quarter. And I think that's how it should be. And that's how the strategy should change. Because
Mhm.
I feel like with everything constantly changing around us, you have to. There's no way around it. And adaptation is the process. And that kind of brings me to when you mentioned the world of characters. How are you building that world? Is it a 3D character? Is it a physical object? Can we talk
Uh,
about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm building a plushie right now. It's
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of see the pink flower right here in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
So I'm building that pink flower. I'm trying to build like a 6-inch resin vinyl toy or
Mm-hmm.
resin toy, vinyl toy. I can't remember what one it's going to be. I think it's resin.
Mm-hmm.
Of like my heart character that I just dropped. I dropped a reel like, I don't know, a month ago on that. And then, I just like want to build a world for them as well because they've kind of just always been like these cute characters that I've developed over time and like continue to like build up and evolve over time. Like if you see like the heart character in 2020 versus now, it's like so much different, but they've always like been essential to like the Adam the Illustrator brand. And now
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more like how do I tell a story with those characters versus just like the post that you see of like maybe it's dropping books, maybe it's dropping building a little worlds for them. And
Yeah.
that just is gonna take a little bit more time than, like a day or two. It's
Yeah.
gonna take a little while to like really like immerse myself into like storytelling for those characters.
So I think one of the things that I've noticed with your content, as we call it these days on the internet, is that it kind of feels like a friend that is checking in. I'm curious, is that the intention and is that the tone that you're going for?
I've never actually thought of it like that, but that's really cool to like hear someone else's perspective on it. A lot
Yeah.
of it is just like little messages to myself, like
Mm.
whether it's a quote that I came up with myself or something that I've heard from like Rick Rubin or a movie or a TV, like I do try and like write down who did say it for the
Yeah.
most part, but sometimes I just like am in the moment and I just like type it down and then I continue on with my day. But a lot of it is just like motivation and like uplifting messages for myself to like keep myself going. And then since 2020, it seemed to resonate with people. So I'm like very happy that it's like helping people and like reaching people at the right time and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what role does mental health kind of play in that? And how do you balance that? I mean, I know that showing up online is important when you're a creative running a business, but how do you be vulnerable with your audience and also have boundaries with that?
I mean, I try and keep I tell stories of like what I'm going through. And, I want to get more vulnerable actually of like, the last 3 months has been a little bit rough for me in the sense of like, I haven't been creating at the pace that I want to create. I haven't been illustrating as much as I want. I feel a little lost at the moment. But I also keep my personal life like to myself, like I try not to show much of my personal life. It's more like stories of what's going on in the career of being an illustrator and content creator and how it makes me feel and what these pieces make me feel as an illustrator or a person. But in terms of like, yeah, you see my face, but I don't think anyone knows that like I'm a huge Leafs fan other than like this video that I just dropped or like I'm a huge Raptors fan or like
Yeah.
I love traveling the world and I want to move to Italy. Like I've never really said that
Yeah.
online or like I keep my personal life pretty separate than the online life.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a good way to like keep things a little bit separate. And as much as I am vulnerable, I'm still like there's still so much that people don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, game seven was something else. Let's not go there. Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
go on a 30-minute rant right now, but I won't. It's like it hurts a little bit, but it's okay. Next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Next year,
Yeah,
sorry.
we're loyal. We're loyal fans. I know talking about vulnerability and mental health, it kind of brings me to this concept, or I guess the idea of being authentic on the internet. What does that mean for you in an age when everyone's building a brand and hustle culture is such a thing, and everyone's like, yeah, I gotta post every day of the week, or I gotta post 3 reels a week. How do you stay authentic doing something like that?
I like try and tell story, like even when it's for client work, I try and tell stories or like talk about things that like actually like make me feel a certain way. Like for this Tim Hortons thing, I'm not going to say it now because it's going to drop in like a couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just say Framer, they reached out to me for a web design project, and like I'm not a web designer. Like even
Yeah.
Wix Studio, like I'm not a web designer. I'm not a designer that's ever really touched any of these websites other than I won't say it because I'm on contract, but other than like another site that I built for my portfolio. So I just told the story there of like being an illustrator, stepping into web design is scary. And I think that resonates with a lot of people because if you're not a web designer, or if you're a web designer stepping into Adobe Illustrator, like it's going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or an illustrator stepping into Photoshop who uses strictly Adobe Illustrator. So I try and make the connection just through like how I feel and like literally just tell a story about what it feels to me. And if it resonates with people, great. If it doesn't, at least it's a story that like I had to get out, and like I hope it connects with at least one person. Like that's my goal. If I can connect with one person, I'm doing okay.
So I know that I always talk about this. I've talked about this with my previous podcast guests, and I feel like one of the things that, as an illustrator designer, that kind of boxes me is putting me in a box. And I don't believe staying in the box. And I'm curious, what do you think about being boxed in creatively? How do you believe in that? How do you deal with that? All of the things.
No, I don't really believe in that. Like I know I'm a illustrator, but at the same time, I'm a content creator. I'm writing all of my own scripts. I'm like doing the voiceover. I'm doing all the editing. I'm not a video guy either, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
just trying to like take a shot that looks good, and I literally use my cell phone for everything. Like I want to get into that world of like upping my game, but
Mm-hmm.
for what I use and like what I do, I like everything works out on the phone. I can do it on the fly. I can do it wherever I am. I don't have to step into Premiere Pro. But being
Yeah.
boxed in, I mean, I don't feel like I'm boxed in at all. Like, yeah, I'm an illustrator, but I'm also like dealing with Alibaba to get plushes made, you know? Like I'm like dealing with like customer service, I'm like invoicing, I'm doing all this. You can box me in if you want to, but I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like I can do anything I want other than like, you know, mechanical engineering or like electrical work, all that kind of fun stuff. But creatively and creative thinking, I think I can do anything that
Yeah.
you want.
So how do you get a brief when you collaborate with bigger corporations like website brands? How do you deal with that? How do you make your own creative brief? What does the art direction process look like? So many questions.
Hmm. I mean, I guess it's like going off a few. Like Framer was pretty wide open. It's like here's the website. Like show people how to use it and like like use a few features, you know, and like they gave me a few points and I picked the ones that I like. I guess Adobe's more wide open, as you probably know. Like it's more like feature focused, but like if you want to tell a story, tell a story. If you want to just like I don't know, for Adobe stuff, I just like to show people how I did it the first way, like how I did it coming up as a designer and learning Illustrator through like a textbook in university versus like how I do it now.
Mm.
A lot of people don't like that because they're like, whoever would do that? And I'm like, I actually, that's the way I did it. That's why I'm showing it. And then there's other people that are like, oh my God, I didn't know either of those ways, you know? So it's
Yeah.
kind of cool to show like an old way and a new way. But taking a brief on and like art direction is, I don't know, I feel like I've put out enough content online that like I'm hoping like the client trusts me enough.
Mm.
And we all know, like you as well, like, I don't know, like no matter how good you think your content is, it could bomb. And no matter how bad it is, it could do amazing. Some of the stuff that goes viral is like, I spent literally like 30 minutes on that.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like I maybe spent an hour or like 2 hours on it versus like the stuff that I do for Tim's and Adobe. And you're like, you're putting in hours of it and you're like, no, I need a better shot. And you're like, you're editing like to the max and like trying to like redo the script because you said one word wrong. And it's like, and then you put paid partnership on it and it, you
Yeah.
know, you reach
Yeah.
10,000 people or like 5,000 people and you're like, wow, that's rough.
Yeah, I've been there. Recently I created something in like 30 minutes and I filmed myself in like 3 different shots. And that reel had more views together with like 3 other reels that I posted before that. And I was like, okay, well, I guess
I
I guess
know.
I'll do this now.
It really is. It's like what's working and what isn't. And even if it's not working, I guess you can still go touch
Yeah.
on it and like do it if that's the stuff that you want to do. But then you always got to do like the stuff that like gets the views and keeps you growing and keeps your community engaged and liking what you're doing.
Yeah, so coming back to the client work, I think I'm curious about what's the one thing that kind of makes you come back to deciding whether you want to work with the client again.
I feel like edits, like if it runs smoothly, I'm like, yeah, like that was a great collaboration. And then what makes me, I mean, it's also just like, does it resonate with me? Does it resonate with like the people that I'm doing? Is like the product that I'm talking about, like, do I actually like stand by that product? Like, do I actually like enjoy it? Like Tim Hortons, I'm like, yeah, I love Timmy's. Like I've been having ice caps for like my whole life since I can remember. So like I'm a Tim Hortons fan, and like it's a brand for that. Like I'm gonna drop this content, and like my aunts and uncles and my mom and dad are gonna see it and be like, oh my god, and like I think that's pretty cool. But like to continue a thing going, it's like hopefully there's not too many edits. Hopefully they like allow me to still be me and like tell the story that I want to tell. Yeah, like creative freedom. I guess that's the short answer is, are
Yeah.
they allowing me to be creative and like have a lot of creative freedom with what we're doing, or is it like very like this is what you need
Boxed
to do?
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like to be too boxed in.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think that's why I like collaborating with Adobe and brands like that because they'll let you share your perspective. And while there is direction, it's still free to interpret based on your process, based on your perspective, based on your life, based on your story. And there's so many aspects to that because I think that is the value you bring to the table because I feel like that's the thought process.
Yeah.
So if a brand trusts you, I guess that's should be good enough. So yeah, I think likewise for me as well. Do you remember the first ever brand collaboration that you did on Adam the Illustrator?
It was actually Nike, which was pretty rad. Like
Nice.
as like Adam the Illustrator, like my tag and everything. It was a Nike project, and I actually showed it at Adobe Create Now. Um, I had to illustrate 5 characters and animate them a little bit, and I like knew a little bit of After Effects, and it was just like literally the text going like this, or like the text I used like an effect in After Effects that like made it go,
Yeah.
and like, but yeah, it was illustrating for Nike, which was really cool. I made no money on it. Like I think it was like $1,000 for 5 illustrations, and I'm like, what? But
Yeah.
like it was Nike, it was COVID, I was making no money, so it was great. And I actually still like love that project to this day. Like the characters I created, I'm like, I go back to those always, like if I'm like feeling frustrated or anything, and I'm like, maybe just redo this one.
So how did you land that brand collaboration? Did you reach out to them? Was it a pitch myself scenario?
No, it was just like friends that I've met through like being an illustrator and a creative in Toronto. My friend reached out to me, and she was just like, yo, I have this project. She was working she was working at Trevor Peter, and she was like, I think you would be great for this. Like, we need something fun and like cute, and we love your work that you've been doing. And this is like early Adam the Illustrator. Like I was still figuring out like, how do I draw these legs? How do I draw these hands type thing? Like I was like drawing lines and smiley
Yeah.
faces, like very, very basic, like not much detail, not much shadows. So it's definitely nerve wracking, but yeah, it was just like through knowing people in the industry from before.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, what do brands typically approach you for? I know illustrations is one of those, but is it like illustration campaigns and maybe even licensing some of your art?
Not much licensing, but a lot of like illustration campaigns and then content creation. Like everything these days has been content creations, and then I'll try and like add an illustration in there, whether it's for them or for myself, just because people know me as an illustrator. If I do something like too far off the deep end, people might be like, wait, what?
Yeah, I guess that also kind of ties back into being authentic to your community more than being authentic to the audience. So I feel like there's two aspects to content creation as well, where community is the one that closely relates to what you're doing, and then audience is maybe more the content creation side, where I'm like, oh, let's make lessons or tutorials on social media. So do you ever pitch yourself to clients as well?
I pitched myself to 2 clients this year so far, or maybe I guess last year, and I think it hit this year. I pitched myself to Hayworth. I got my chair and my desk through
Nice.
them. I needed a new desk. I had like I don't know. It was just like my desk was too small. I needed a change, and I wrote an email to them just being like, hey, this is what I do. I think we could make some fun content together. And they sent me a free desk and the chair for some content, and then also Wacom. I pitched them a year ago, didn't hear back. And then I pitched them again and they messaged me back and I've been working with them. I worked with them on like 3 pieces of content earlier this year or maybe end of last year, early this year. And then actually I think there's a piece dropping tomorrow. So May 22nd. I know I'm not sure
Yeah.
when it's gonna drop, but like a piece
Yeah.
dropping on May 22nd where I'm like actually reviewing their new Wacom Intuos Pro. Like my first ever
Mm.
review where I'm like, this is what I like, this is what I wish they didn't take away, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Hopefully it opens some new doors of like the reviewing content style.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, what do you think got you that reply 1 year later? And what makes a pitch deck actually get reply? Because I know this is like such a common question with people sending
Mhm.
cold emails out and then not getting a response.
I actually like, how do I say this? Like my pitch deck was literally not even a pitch deck. It was like me reaching out via Instagram. Just
Yeah.
like, I think like, and trust me, like I've done like the pitch deck thing and like those work very well in my opinion. Because you
Mm-hmm.
get to show them like what you're gonna do or like what you can bring to the table. But for Hayworth and Wacom, it was more like, hey, I really love your brand. I've been a fan of your brand for a long time. For Wacom, it's like easy, right? I've been using the Intuos Pro for 15 years. So I was like, I'm a user that loves this product. I would love to make content with you guys. Let me know if you're interested. Like all of my content is like tutorial based mostly. I'm an illustrator. I show the process, this, that, and the other. Just like a little 1, 2, 3. I would love to work together. Like, let me know what you guys think. And yeah, they reached out to me, and it was like for a lower rate than I'm used to, but it's like also like like they sent me free product, and hopefully I continue to get free product from them because I do like what they're doing over there. But yeah, it's worked well, and now I think it's all about like like there's a lot of people that are popping off online from like pitching via like this is what I would do for this brand or that brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I have a secret project that I'm gonna pitch just through an Instagram reel, and then I'll send it to the client after and see if we can make it happen.
We're getting the secret scoop here.
Secrets. I mean, by the time when is this dropping?
Probably in like a couple months.
Oh, okay,
I can fix the schedule to match your schedule
okay. Because like
if that
this
helps.
stuff is gonna drop like really soon. Like I'm gonna drop so it'll already be pitched, but
Yeah.
I'm pitching I'm pitching a product to a brand, and you'll see it in probably honestly probably like next week. I'll get to it.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of pitching yourself and also negotiating, I think on the same nerve, do you
Mhm.
have any advice for smaller or newer creators who are trying to get brand deals in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think at the beginning it's either like for free or like a very low rate. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to do this full time for like a very long time, like I've done some stuff for Nike and the NBA before Adam the Illustrator. I've done some stuff, I'm trying to think. I've done some stuff for like other like local brands in Toronto, but you get like a gift card here or there. You get like a $300-400 gift card to go to shop, which is great. Unfortunately, it doesn't pay the bills, but like starting out, it's like I'm working at the bar. I get to express my creative self and
Yeah.
like get to shop at a store that I really love. Like, sometimes you got to you do those jobs to build your portfolio. And I was fortunate enough early on to connect with some people in Toronto that were throwing like a lot of festivals, Collective Nude. And I aligned myself with them early on, and they did a lot of stuff with Red Bull. And they were throwing a Red Bull block party, like the Collective Nude block party with Red Bull.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity early on to like design all the posters for that for like 3 or 4 years. And, like it just like at the time it was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not making enough money from this. But now, like,
Yeah.
looking back, is like, it allowed me to, like, I guess, exercise that creative muscle and like think of poster design and all these fun things. And, I got to do some really cool stuff with them, like some wood cutouts that were at the event. And that just allowed me to feel confident, build my portfolio, and then pitch companies based off of that portfolio. Like, I think the only reason I got my job in 2019 was because of that portfolio that was like very, very Illustrator based. Like I was applying for graphic design jobs and it was an Illustrator portfolio.
So I guess it's more so not saying do free work, but it's also like what value do you bring to the brand or the company
Mhm.
more than how much money can they pay you. So I guess that's a good perspective and a way to look at it. I
Especially
feel like
early on, right? Like I
yeah,
was
and I feel like
living at my parents and stuff. So I had the flexibility like when I
yeah,
was 24 to 20. I can't remember when I moved out. Even when I was
yeah,
like living downtown, like I wasn't paying a lot of rent early on. It was like maybe $700, but I had a bartending job and I
yeah.
was making that in like a weekend. So I had that flexibility to work 3 days a week at the bar or 4 days a week. And then the other 3 days, like, even though I was exhausted, I was able to like wake up and like illustrate and like post to social media, even though I was getting like, 30 likes.
Yeah, likes and comments. That's a whole different ball game. But talking behind the curtain, do you plan and schedule your content now, or is it more
No,
reacting and working in the moment?
I work in the moment, which is so bad. I hate it so much. I'm trying to think ahead because I'm working with a management team now, right? And
Mhm.
we got this project with Wix Studio, and I'm like, I did the first 2 pieces, but I want to do like the next 4 pieces in 1 month so that I
Mhm.
can release it in June and July instead of like 2 this month, 2 next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Like I really do want to work and work better, but it is very reactionary of like this idea came to mind. I'm going to illustrate it. And then when I'm done illustrating, like if I posted something that day, I'll like wait a day and then I'll post it. I try and give my
Yeah.
posts like post on Monday, day off Tuesday, post Wednesday, post Friday, and that's it.
So you're always on the go. Is
Yeah.
there a way to test out new formats in that scenario without worrying about how many likes or how your post is performing?
What do you mean by new formats?
Well, I guess more so the trial reels and everything that
Mm.
Instagram has come out with. And I know you were doing some new content on TikTok as well.
Yeah, I don't really do trial reels. I just like honestly, I think putting out your thing in general, like putting out your content in general is a trial in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it gonna hit? Is it not? And then they're like, let's do this trial reel. And I'm like, I kind of want it to hit my like community. Like,
Yeah.
even if it is something new, like I'd rather my community react to it first than
Mm.
like random people that I like don't that I don't know if they're gonna like understand what it is. And I also like don't want to put in like that much time to test out something on a trial versus maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I should do some trials. And maybe my community is tired of it.
No, I guess I have never personally tried trial reels, but I'm seeing so much content around it and people pushing that to other creators as well. Just
Hmm.
on the explore page where they're like, I'm like considering it to see if that brings in more people
Yeah.
and if that expands the network a little bit. Because I feel like it kind of leverage other people's network. And obviously, I don't know how Instagram algorithm works, but it changes every day. So,
It's
yeah.
a struggle. It's a
Yeah.
struggle every day.
So is there like a formula or framework that you've come up with, say captions or what time of day you're posting and stuff like that for strong engagement on social?
I mean, I try and post Monday, Wednesday, Friday if I
Mm,
can.
yeah,
And I try and post, like in my highlighted time from like I would say 8:30 a.m. to like 10 a.m. is like my sweet spot, I think.
yeah,
Does that actually affect things? I don't know. Like I'm not sure if that's like but that's kind of the routine like that I'm in personally. So I
mm,
can wake up in the morning, I can, do what I need to do when it's like just like I'll do like the stop animating like this or stop illustrating like this. And I'll
yeah,
do all those captions like in the morning. I'll find a
mhm,
song, post it. I'll do it on TikTok as well. TikTok's a little bit like, I don't know, I kind of have like given up on it, but not really. Like,
yeah,
I'm just not like posting as strongly because I find like my content has done horribly on there. Like
mm,
it's just not doing as well as it used to. So, but like my Instagram schedule is very like precise
yeah,
and I try 3 days a week. Can't always get it out 3 days a week, but I'll do what I can.
yeah. What's kind of like your biggest challenge running a brand on social media?
I just think keeping up with the changes, like
Mm,
trust in myself. Also, like, how do I say this? Like, I doubt myself so much still to this day. You put out a reel and, I've been fortunate enough to hit 1 million people here and there on a couple reels, which I'm like, let's go. I like it gets you excited.
yeah,
But then you drop a reel that's like similar the next day or the next week, or, like you're talking on the same type of points and same type of layout, and it reaches from 1 million to like 40,000. And you're like, wait, what? Like, I have 380,000 followers. Like, your follower count means nothing these days. And
yeah,
it's like, wait, what? Like, how is this only getting here when like my engagement, like looking at the numbers of like likes to saves to comments is pretty good. I'm like,
mm,
if I'm getting 1,000 likes and 1,000 saves, I think that's pretty good content. Like if
yeah,
it's on par with each other, I'm like, this is great content. It might not be getting all the sends, which supposedly is the new like, but I'm like, I don't know. I doubt myself a lot and I'm like so uncertain about the like where social media is going to go, but I continue to just show up and put out the ideas that I like, and even if it doesn't reach 1 million people, which was would be ideal if all my content could reach, all 380,000 followers, that'd be amazing. Does it need to
Yeah.
go above? I don't think so. Like if it reached the number that I have, I would be very, very happy. But like
Yeah.
going like this every single day is tough, and like it definitely takes a toll on me mentally for sure.
So how do you kind of trust the process when you show up online then? Because the sine wave is really not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of cuss out Instagram in my head and at my house, and I play some Call of Duty and I get out my frustration. I'm just like a real dude, like I get angry too. I'm like, what the F? Da 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 da. Like this sucks. Like how the heck can I be getting this and this and this and it's only getting to this? So I let it out, but then I just know that like the next video could pop off, and it's not, I try and tell myself every time it's not me, it's them. Like it's not me, it's you.
Yeah.
And that's really it. Like I try not to get too down, even though I'm not gonna lie, like I do get down on myself. Like it's hard not to when you're like, 90% of your income is based off of, let's just say, numbers, really. Like
Yeah.
it's based off of numbers that you have no control over. And it takes a toll on me mentally for sure, of like seeing a reel go out one day by myself and it does amazing, and then putting the paid partnership marker on it and it reaches 20,000 people and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
literally did the same content that I would usually do, and how's it reaching this horribly of a number? And it's like, it makes you feel, I don't know about you, but it makes me feel very like self-conscious, and like I doubt myself for sure, but I just, at the end of the day, what else can you do? I just show up and continue to put out my stuff and know that, and try and believe in what I'm doing, like even if
Yeah.
it's, you get a comment here and a comment there and that like uplifts you, or you get to tell a story about a product that you've been dreaming of making for 10 years.
Yeah. Like the plushie.
The plushie, the toy, like I'm super stoked on that. So that's the stuff that keeps you going,
Yeah,
like
let's talk about it. What's the plushie manufacturing process like? How
oh,
did you how
it's
did you
been,
even come up with the idea, and what's the process been like so far?
yeah, I mean, I have two, well, gonna be three nieces
Hmm.
soon. My sister's gonna give birth soon. So I have three nieces.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have three nieces coming soon. I've got two for right now, three. And then my best friends that live next door to me have a 2-year old now, 2.5-year old. And it's just like, I feel like these characters would be amazing as a plushie for like the kids to grow up on, and like have and like cuddle. And it's just, yeah, I just, I don't see my work as, I don't really see my work as a lot of like merch in the sense of like t-shirts, totes. Like I've done them obviously, but like I've never thought of myself as like a t-shirt designer or a tote designer.
Yeah.
Once again, I do a lot of that work, but I think of myself more as like product based or like character based. So, I want to make a book. I want to make like the stuff that excites me more is like the books, the plushies, the keychains, like all that
Mm.
stuff versus like t-shirts and totes. Like I'm so over those. I'd rather make, here, I got this little guy that I haven't shown anyone this yet.
Yeah, secret scoop. I love this. Ooh, that actually is really cool.
So
That
this is
would
like,
do the YouTube thing.
this
There we
is,
go. I
this
love
is
that.
what the plushie is, right? But this is
Mm.
the toy that I made with Womp.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm stoked on it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that kind of sparks ideas in my brain when I think about characters and character designs, and I feel like you could also make like a children's book with those characters. And I'm curious,
Definitely
is
on the
that
list.
okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Something on the cards.
Yeah.
No, I love that. So, what keeps you connected to your art? Because I know content creation can sometimes feel like a job, and
Mhm.
there are like bad days when you're like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do this, and this is not getting the engagement that I thought it would, or doesn't reach the same amount of people. What keeps you going?
I think there's more to life than likes and engagement.
Yeah.
Um, like I said earlier, like it does hurt the soul sometimes when you like the stuff you worked on for a long time doesn't do well. But at the end of the day, I still want to tell a story and about these like characters and about myself and like let people know. Like I think of the key part here is too is just like let people know that I think anyone can do what you want to do. I didn't grow up being an artist. I didn't grow up being an illustrator. I didn't get
Yeah.
into this stuff until like late into university. And it took a long time after university to even get a design job. I graduated in 2011 and I got my first design job in 2019. So I think my story is very relatable for people that are like design and like want to do it as a profession, but it's like it's not there yet, right? Like we don't have the skill level yet, or we don't have a skill set yet. But I truly believe that like if you work super hard and like you love it and it's a passion of yours, like there's no reason why you can't become an illustrator or a graphic designer. And it might not be the full-time job, which it wasn't for a long time, but like you might get that break that will propel your career and like allow you to do what you want to do, which is what happened with me. And I'm like so grateful for that. So I feel like there's still a lot of story to tell than just like, you know, a tutorial or like getting likes on something, you know,
Yeah.
I think there's a story to be told about what I just said. And I want to continue to tell that story to like inspire the youth and the even like whether it's like the youth, like the young kids or like 20-year-olds, you know, like I was 24, lost out of university, working at 1-800 Got Junk, working at a bar as a bartender. And I like, as much fun as the bar was, it just like, once again, it was like kind of soul sucking as well, right? Like you're working till, I was working from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. and I loved it. I loved the people that I met there, like some of the best friends I made in Toronto and like some of the best nights I've ever had in Toronto. But in terms of like feeding the creative soul, it was like there was nothing there. And that's why in like 2019, I got offered that job for like severely less money than I was making at the bar. But it was my opportunity to take a chance on myself and take a chance on my creativity. And I think I want to tell more stories about that experience of like not being an artist from the time I was 3 years old.
That kind of brings me to this close where I'm curious. How do you measure success?
I don't know. I think it's just like accomplishing your own goals, right? Like I never had goals of being an influencer or like a content creator. Like that was never a goal of mine. It kind of happened, but like I want to accomplish my goals. Like I want to create these plushies and like sell them. I hope they sell out. That would be amazing, you know? I want to have an art show. So if I ever get to have an art show and have people walk into a space where like my cute characters are there and it like you feel good about it and you feel inspired and you leave inspired, I think accomplishing those goals keep me going. And like not accomplishing them keeps me going too, though, you know, like once I do this art show, I'm like, what am I going to do after that? Like,
What's coming up next?
Yeah. If I have an art show, I'm like, what am I chasing after that? I don't know. But something else will come up, you know, like maybe it's the children's book, or maybe it's working with larger companies to create their own characters and stuff like that, which I would love to do nowadays. But yeah, I think just like continuing to set new goals and accomplish those goals.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I was going to ask you what's next for Adam, but Adam the Illustrator, but now.
Yeah, like art show, toys, all that kind of fun stuff. I don't think anything other than those are like, art show and toys. Art show, toy, plushie is like the three things that I'm really working hard towards. Plushie and toy are coming first.
Yeah.
And the art show will be like,
Art show comes after with the plushie and the toy.
exactly. And hopefully we can sell out and have a big event in Toronto, which would be super rad.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just want to make cute things still.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Well, thank you so much, Adam, for being here on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Anika. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, we'll see you another time.
Okay. Ciao.
I did it later, but we got it. That was Adam reminding us that it's possible to be emotionally honest and wildly creative online. You don't need to fake perfection or chase trends. You just need to build something you like and share it with your audience and community consistently. If you're a creator figuring out how to show up, grow your audience, and stay mentally sane all at the same time, rewind this one. There are some real takeaways in here, and check out Adam on Instagram while you're at it. And if this episode hit home, share it with a creative friend or a non-creative friend, leave a review and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the next one.